Hi, Chase Charifa here with the Charifa mortgage team at Pacific Union Financial, where we work hard to make mortgage easy. So today I wanted to go over the differences between different property types. The two most common are single family and condo, and then there's everything in between. So a single family residence is something that we all can take a look at as the house, right? The house that we all want to buy with the front yard and the backyard and everything like that. The biggest difference is that condos are usually attached to a different building, and they can also be detached, but mostly that they're part of a community and you're inside a community type of environment and that you have an HOA. And so what I meant by everything in between is there are other different property types, such as like planned unit development, which is kind of like a single family residence within a community, which also has an HOA, or you also have townhomes, which are somewhere in between, where you still have an HOA and it's a condo, but you might be sharing walls with just two other different units. So getting to know these different property types is really important with regards to getting your pre-approval for a mortgage, because it can determine what kind of purchasing power you have. And what I can do is break down an example so that you can kind of see what kind of purchasing power you would have with regards to a single family residence versus a condo. So let's go over an example right now. Here's a little scenario just so you can see the difference between the purchasing power of a condo with an HOA and a single family residence by itself. So when you compare the two, the first thing you take a look at is the payment, right? So how we qualify, as I've said in the past, is through your mortgage debt and any other debt that you may have, the minimum monthly payments. In this case, we're going to take a look at just the mortgage monthly payment. So for a single family residence, I came up with $2,048.18, and for a condo it's $2,074.84. So I'm pre-approving them to about 45% debt to income ratio. So assuming that everything else is all the same, FICO score is 700, and they in both situations the borrower is at a certain income amount. I assumed about 6,800 with a bunch of other debts, and we're literally just isolating the property type, the HOA. So I get this question a lot: could you give me scenarios between a condo and a single family, and what are my purchasing power for each? So that would be the payment for each one of those, and I'll show, you can see below the loan amount. Next is the HOA. I assumed about 300. That's about average. Obviously it'll change as we go along, but for the purposes of this example, let's just use $300 HOA. Let's also assume that this borrower has $15,000 for down payment, not including closing costs, just the down payment. That's what they want to put down, and the rest will be for closing costs. They have a 700 FICO, and we're trying to keep it at a limit of about 45% debt to income ratio. What we come up with actually is that with the single family residence, we have a loan amount of $285,000 that they could be pre-approved for at a $300,000 purchase price, putting 5% down. And you could actually buy a house for $300,000. Whereas if you go with a condo with an HOA of 300, you could only buy a house or a condo for $260,000, even with putting $15,000 down, which is a little more than 5%. So as you can tell, the same income, same down payment, same FICO score, and same qualification ratios, except for that you can buy more house than you can with a condo at the exact same price point, with everything else being the same. And that's due to the fact that we are considering the HOA as part of your monthly mortgage payment or your housing expense. So obviously that deters you from more purchasing power, because you're limited to a certain debt to income ratio. And so that's what you want to make sure you want to take a look at, because if being in a community is really important for you, then looking for a condo that's right for you and your family will be a good thing. Just keep in mind that you might not be able to afford a house that's similar to the 300,000 house versus the condo. So you can't look for a condo, oh, I'm approved for 300,000, and not consider the HOA in that, because that will also affect your qualifications. So make sure you take a look at that, and it's something that you want to keep in mind. And that's just the one layer that we're isolating. There are also different layers, such as different down payment amounts, or if a particular property has Mello-Roos, and we could talk about that on the next one. So, all right, so I hope you guys learned a lot from this breakdown of purchasing power, the differences between the main property types. Obviously, there are different property types. There's also multi-unit family, so you can take a look at that at a future video. So I hope that was useful. I'll talk to you guys soon.